Hey guys, what's up? MadSeason here, back with another video for you. In AQ40, there's a boss named Viscidus who drops a pretty expensive pet. It's called the Viscidus Globule, and right now it's selling for an average price of around 13,000 gold across all US servers. And the reason for that is because killing Viscidus isn't really straightforward, so most people give up. To be able to kill him, you have to first hit him with around 20 frost attacks to freeze him, and then hit him with around 25 physical attacks to shatter him before he unfreezes. For the shattering phase, you only have 30 seconds, and for a lot of classes that's a really tough time window. So because of all of this, most people just give up, and as a result the pet he drops is really lucrative. So in this video, I'll show you how to kill him for all 12 classes during the Legion expansion. Note that while the title does say level 110, it's not entirely necessary to be that high. A lot of these classes I did at level 100, so it's not a strict requirement. Also, if you're just looking for a specific class, check the description because I'll have some timestamps set up for you. Before you do so though, you may want to listen a little while longer because I have some general information that's needed for every class. So for the freezing phase, obviously some classes don't have frost spells. To get around this, we're going to be using the Elemental Force enchant. This one has a random elemental damage proc, one of them being frost. So it's a nice way to get that freeze in. There are other enchants such as Death Frost, but I prefer Elemental Force because in general it's way cheaper and it's more common on the auction house. And of course for the shattering phase, speed is a top priority. There are 3 weapons that I have as my go-to. If you can equip daggers, go for the simple dagger. It has a speed of 1.6 and you can buy it from most general good vendors in the game, and even from the Traveler's Mammoth if you have it. If you can't equip daggers but you can equip swords, pick up the Grass Cutter. This is sold by Paladin Silverblade, located in the shop at coordinates 5463 in both the Broken Isles and Northrend Dallarans. Once again, it has a pretty fast speed of 1.6 and it's pretty convenient to get. And lastly, if you can only equip 2-handers, pick up the 2.1 speed Dalaran Greatsword from the same merchant. You can get faster weapons, but I like these because they're easy to get. You don't need to go to a raid or anything like that. So some classes will have a tougher time with the shattering phase, particularly casters. So some of you will need external pet summoning trinkets. I do have some suggestions for you, and they're all in Pandaria. The best one is going to be the Crate of Kidnapped Puppies. This drops from a rare mob named Borgrin Darkfist, located at coordinates 5643 in the Kunlai Summit. And another option is the Terracotta Fragment, dropped by a rare mob John Dar, located at 1978 in the Valley of the Four Winds. Option 3 is the Dynasty of Steel, dropped by Nalak the Ripper, who patrols around coordinates 1053 of the same zone. And another option is Martar's Magnifying Glass, dropped by Martar the Not So Smart, who patrols around coordinates 5633 in the Jade Forest. Now, these mobs are pretty heavily camped, at least on my server. I've had the best luck with Martar, and I think that's mainly because he doesn't show up on the minimap. Any of them will work, but the best one is the Crate of Puppies, so if you can get that, that would be ideal. Anyways, now that we got all of the preliminary stuff out of the way, let's get to the actual guide. You can find AQ40 at coordinates 2488 in Silithus. And to get there, take the Caverns of Time portal. In the Broken Isles Dalaran, this is located in the middle area with all of the other portals. And in the Northrend Dalaran, it's in the Violet Citadel, and from there you just fly on over. Viscidus himself is located fairly deep within the instance. He's the optional boss right after Fangchris the Unyielding. The path leading to him is on the eastern side of his room. So, class number 1 on our list is the Paladin. For this you want to be protection spec, and before you head out pick up a Grass Cutter and throw Elemental Force on it. And pick up one of those trinkets I listed earlier. In my case, I have the Terracotta Fragment, and you're also going to want to have the Consecrated Hammer talent, and the main ability you'll be using is the Hammer of the Righteous. For the freezing phase, just spam this, and do the same for the shattering phase. As soon as he freezes, make sure you use your Terracotta Fragment or whatever trinket you picked up, and then keep spamming Hammer. If you do it correctly, you should beat the 30-second timer pretty easily. Next up we have the Shaman. Go enhancement spec for this one, and pick up 2 simple daggers. Shamans have a pretty versatile kit, so no enchants nor trinkets are needed. For the freezing phase, you'll be using Frostbrand with the Hailstorm talent, and for the shatter phase, you want to use Feral Spirit and Rockbiter. So keep using Frostbrand until he freezes, and when he does, pop your Feral Spirit and Rockbiter spam. You can also throw in a Heroism, although it's not needed by any means. Next up, we have the Monk in the Windwalker spec. Before you head out, pick up dual Grass Cutters with Elemental Force on one of them, and no trinket is needed. For abilities, you'll be using Jab, Spinning Crane Kick, and the Storm, Earth, and Fire cooldown. For the freezing phase, just spam Jab and use Spinning Crane Kick when you cap out on Chi, but make sure that you have some saved up for when he freezes. When he does freeze, pop Storm, Earth, and Fire, and then just Jab spam and Spinning Crane Kick, and he should shatter pretty quickly. Next up, we have the Warrior. My preferred spec is Fury. Before you head out, pick up dual simple daggers and throw Elemental Force on your main hand. And for abilities, we just have Whirlwind. It's pretty brainless. For both the freezing and shattering phases, just spam Whirlwind. That's pretty much all you need for the whole fight as long as you're Fury spec. For the hunter, my preferred spec is Beast Mastery, and that's so we can tame an exotic pet that has a frost attack. So for this fight, we'll need a Chimera. You can find them at coordinates 5924 in Winterspring in the northern end of Kalimdor, and the reason we want them is for their Froststorm Breath ability, which as I mentioned earlier deals frost damage for the freezing phase. Before you head in though, also make sure you pick up the Stampede and Barrage talents because you'll need them. So for the freezing phase, just use that Froststorm Breath, and as soon as he freezes, pop Stampede and Barrage and he should shatter fairly quickly. And that's it, no enchants nor trinkets needed for the hunter. For the priest though, we do need one of the trinkets that I listed earlier. In my case, I picked up Martar's Magnifying Glass. And also for the freezing phase, make sure you pick up the Mind Spike talent because it deals Shadow Frost damage, which does work. And you'll also want Power Infusion for the added haste, and make sure you don't take the Mindbender talent because we'll need Shadow Fiend as well. And also pick up a simple dagger just for the speed. So for the freezing phase, just spam Mind Spike, and as soon as he freezes, you want to use whichever pet trinket you have, Shadow Fiend, cast Power Infusion on yourself, and auto attack him. The timing is really tight on this one, so you gotta be really fast as soon as he freezes. This is one of the classes I recommend picking up the Crate of Kidnapped Puppies just because it's so close, but as you can see, you can do it without it. Next up we have the Rogue, and for this I prefer the Outlaw spec. Pick up 2 simple daggers, and for the freezing phase pick up an Elemental Force enchant. For talents, make sure you grab Slice and Dice and Killing Spree, and for noteworthy abilities we'll be needing Saber Slash. For the freezing phase, just Saber Slash spam and make sure you have Slice and Dice up, then as soon as he freezes pop Killing Spree and then continue with the Saber Slash. Once again making sure that you have Slice and Dice up the entire time. Next up we have the Havoc Demon Hunter. Pick up 2 simple daggers and throw Elemental Force on one of them. For abilities you'll be using Demon's Bite, Blade Dance, and Eye-Beam. For the freezing phase just use Demon's Bite spam and Eye-Beam, and for the shattering phase use Blade Dance and Demon's Bite spam and you should take them out with plenty of time to spare. Next up we have the Warlock. For this I like to be in Demonology spec, and before you head out pick up a simple dagger and throw on Elemental Force. And abilities of note are going to be a Felguard as your pet, summon Dreadstalkers, and your Felguard's Bladestorm ability. For the freezing phase, just auto attack with your dagger, making sure your Felguard is summoned. It'll take a minute or two, but he will eventually freeze. But before he freezes though, just make sure that you have some soul shards for your Dreadstalker summon. So pop that as soon as he freezes, as well as your Felguard's Bladestorm. And join in on the auto attacking yourself, and you should shatter pretty quickly. Next up we have the Mage. Go Frost spec for this fight, and also make sure that you pick up a simple dagger and one of the pet summoning trinkets I listed earlier. In my case, I'm using Martar's Magnifying Glass. Abilities of note are Ice Lance for the freezing phase, and Icy Veins and Time Warp for the shattering phase. So just start off with Ice Lance spam until he freezes, and once he does, immediately pop your pet trinket, Icy Veins, Time Warp, and join in on the auto attacking. Once again, pretty tight timing here. It's not as bad as the priest, but it can still be close, so just make sure that you're quick to react when he freezes. Next up we have the Death Knight. Go in Holy Spec and pick up a Dalaran Greatsword, and before you head out use a Rune of Razor Ice on it from your Runeforge and Acuris. Noteworthy abilities are Raise Dead, Army of the Dead, Festering Strike, and Death Strike. For the freezing phase make sure you have your pet out and just use Festering and Death Strikes. Then as soon as he freezes pop Army of the Dead and it should be a near insta-kill once they're all out. Anyways, lastly we have the Druid. Go balance spec for this and pick up a simple dagger with an Elemental Force enchant on it. No trinkets are needed, but for talents grab Force of Nature. This is the one that summons Treants to fight for you. For the freezing phase, just auto attack with your dagger, and as soon as he freezes, use Force of Nature and auto attack him. You also have to be auto attacking or else your Treants will just sit there. But that's every class covered, at least for the Legion expansion. So hopefully everything worked out for you. I'm sure this guide isn't 100% perfect, but I think in general if you follow these strategies, you'll have success. If I missed anything though, feel free to let me know, and to organize things a bit, make sure you tag it with whatever class it is. For example, if you have a tip for Paladins, use hashtag Paladin. And if you're having trouble for a certain class, check out those tags in the comments because I'm sure people will have some good tips in there. But that's about all I got for you for this video. I hope you found it helpful. Give it a like if you liked it, and if you really liked it, let me know in the comments and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching, good luck, and peace.